Gimel. The omna milavad heyota bria hazot shekanta shlemut re'uya ledabek bebora yitbarach shemo mitzat hitdamut lo. But by means of acquiring perfection, this is the way the creature becomes fit, able to attach themselves to the Creator. When the person acquires this or achieves closer to perfection or gets that relationship, and it all becomes one. Which means as the person gets closer to Hashem, he gets more benefit. As he gets more benefit, he comes closer. And this continues that way. Of course, the other way also works. The more a person removes himself, chas v'shalom, the more imperfection he gets. And the more imperfection he gets, the more he wants to remove himself. What did we just describe? The concept of mitzvah goreret mitzvah, avera goreret avera. We just described that. And this is what we've said, that the Creator is the absolute perfection, like we said, anything that is perfect is only in Him, which means everything else is really not perfect. If it's not connected to God, it is not perfect. It's like a branch vis-a-vis the root, which means the mitzvot are like branches of the tree. Each mitzvah is a way to achieve perfection. Even though there's no way for the person to get to the root, that's Hashem Yichvodo V'atzmo. But by grabbing onto the branches, you're connecting yourself to the root. You shall see the ultimate perfection is His essence, the essence of God, is His being. And what is the definition? We decide what is shlemut? Essence of God. What is chisaron? He didn't say absence of God, because there is no such thing as absence of God. What does he say? He'elem tuvo, that His goodness is hidden. Vehester panav, which means really He's everywhere, all the time. The only difference is He's covered. Why? Because you covered Him.
Because of us.
Right. Which means His tov is always there for you to receive. Always, at maximum. How much tov you receive is dependent on how much you're able to remove the covering. You see that in the Torah. When Moshe Rabbeinu came down from Har Sinai, what does it say? Karan or panav. His face shined. And what happened? He had to put masveh. Why do you have to put masveh? Because they couldn't look at him. Which means he was radiating such tov, of course from Hashem, and the people weren't properly prepared. So therefore they had to have masveh. Moshe had to put masveh on his face. So this way it was covered so that they wouldn't be able to be exposed to it to that level. But if they were properly prepared, there's no reason why everybody can't be like Moshe Rabbeinu. That's why in the Gemara, when a person comes up with a good argument, it says, Moshe Shapir Ka'amarta. Even though his name is not Moshe, it's good you said that. As Rashi explains, that in your generation, you're like Moshe in his generation. V'nimsa, she'e'arat panav yitbarach shemo, v'kirvatot yeh ha'shoresh v'asiba l'chol shlemut shetiyeh. Therefore we see, he's hinting to the same thing we just talked about. Ha'arat panav, which means the shine of his face. He doesn't have a face, but his shine, which means knowing he's present. V'kirvato, and closeness to him. This is the root of all perfection that can be. V'ester panav, and covering his face. covering that ha'ara, that emanation. Hashorsh ve'asiba l'chol chisaron. This is the reason for every blemish. This is the reason for every imperfection. Asher kishiur ha'ester kach yesh shiur ha'chisaron shenemishach mimenu. The more there is hester, the more there is imperfection.
That's why Galut sets up potential for revelation, and Geulah is the realization of the revelation. Ve'anochi haster astir panai bayom ahu al kol hara'a asher asa ki fana el Elohim ahirim.
That I'm going to cover. Why? Because we turned away from God. So you're going to turn away from Him, so He turns away from you. And He covers Himself. And now you have to work harder to get that to be uncovered.
And then there's the pasuk in Devarim, chapter 11, verse number 13 from Kriyat Shema. V'haya im shamo'a tishmeu mitzvotai asher anochi metzaveh etchem hayom le'avat Adonai Elohechem u'le'ovdo b'chol levavchem v'chol nafshechem. And the Rashi over here commenting on the double lashon of shamo'a tishmeu. Im shamo'a bayashan, if there is listening to the old, tishmeu behadash, you will listen to the new. Which basically means if a person does chazara on what he has learned, he will remember what he has learned. V'chen, similarly we interpret another pasuk from earlier in chapter 8, verse number 19 of Devarim, im shachoach tishkach, literally, if forgetting you will forget. Meaning, im hitchalta lishkoach, if you begun to forget, which means you've been negligent reviewing what you have learned, sofacha shetishkach kula, at the end you will forget it all. Sheken Ketib Megillat Chasidim, and it's also written in a sefer called Megillat Chasidim, which is a book that was an ancient work that was before the Talmud. It may have been written in times of the Bible, in biblical times, but we no longer have this document. And it says, Im ta'azveni yom, if you abandon me for a day, yomaim ezveka, for 2 days I will abandon you. And this is also recorded in the Sifri 48 in Yerushalmi Brachot 9:5.
All of these concepts that we see in the Chazal, this is how we understand them. What is 1 day, 2 days? What does this mean?
It's not literal, right?
Even if it is literal, it doesn't change anything. We're going to the deeper meaning. What does it mean? Which means when you cover, Hashem is also mastir.
Right.
In order for you, you have to remove your hester, and then his hester has to be removed. So therefore, it's 1 day, 2 days. And he is mastir the same amount that you are mastir. That's why it's a 1-to-2 ratio. This book, person, really, you can understand so much. And when you learn, whether it's in Chumash, whether it's in Talmud, Mishnah, so much. When you have this, and you can understand, everything just fits. It just makes sense. And you understand what's really going on. Not just concepts here and there, porech ba'avir, what does this mean, what does this mean? No, you can really get to a deeper meaning of all these concepts. Remember, right now he's still talking about how man was before the sin. He's going to discuss the difference later on between man, and he didn't even get to man yet. He hasn't identified the creature yet. That he's not going to do until the next chapter. Right now, he's just setting up to say that there has to be that God willed there to be another creature. And then he's going to define that creature as man and why man is this creature and not other ones. But this is all the way God created the world before the sin of Adam Arishon. After it's different, little different, and we'll see. And he's going to explain exactly how it's different. This creature, which stands in balance, equal balance between the perfection and the imperfection, Shem Toldot Ha'ara Ve'ester, which are basically connected to his emanation or his hiding, the revelation of his light or the hiding of his light, and the ability of the person to grab onto, to acquire the perfection, and to make him his own through the work that we talked about. By doing that, what is he doing? He said he grabs the branch, but really when he's grabbing the branch, he's grabbing the root. Even though he can't access the root directly, by grabbing the branch, he's grabbing the root. He's connecting himself to the source. And the more a person perfects themselves in their midot, and this is really what the key is. That's why the other book, Mesilat Yesharim, is also important. If a person has to work on the midot, it's not just a matter of what you know, it's a matter of how you behave. When a person works on themselves by removing those imperfections and getting more perfected, what happens? He grabs more. He's holding more of the branches. He's connected more to Hashem. Until he can get to the highest level that he can get to. And who's the highest level that could be gotten to? Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu, where he was able to go on the mountain, lechem lo achalti, umayim lo shatiti, like we said, the simple meaning, he didn't eat and he didn't drink. He was not even connected to the world practically. He wasn't married, he separated from his wife. He didn't have relations with his wife because he had to be with Hashem all the time. He was with Hashem all the time. This is an unbelievable thing. This is all from the work that he did. And we see, and this is what it means, Pe'al Pe'al Daber Bo. Moshe Rabbeinu was always attached to Hashem. The only time he was detached from Hashem was when? When he got angry. And during the 37 and a half years where Hashem didn't talk to him because of the Chet Meraglim. During the 37 and a half years, yeah. Lech red ki shichet amecha. You're there because the Jewish people are failing. Lech red. Okay, that's why there's no psukim. You know, Parashat Hukat, that we're going to read this week. It's the beginning part of Parashat Hukat is in the first year and a half after leaving Egypt. Afterwards, it talks about the death of Miriam, the death of Aaron. This is in the last year. So this is what we call the transition parasha, which means in this parasha, there's 37 and a half years that we don't know anything about what happened. Yes.
We usually literally skip 37 years.
From one aliyah to 37 and a half years later. With the sin of him hitting this rock, that was later. The more he is perfected, the more he makes himself better, the closer he gets to Hashem, the more he attaches himself. Until he gets to the tachlit, he gets to the ultimate kinyat shlemut, which we said is Moshe Rabbeinu. He's really getting to the maximum amount that he can attach himself to God. And there he's attaching himself to God. And he appreciates and he gets benefit from the tov of Hashem. And he becomes more perfected by the fact that he's attaching himself to perfection. And he is the owner of his tov and his shlemut. And this is the concept what he's talking about now. What happens in the olam haba? Tzadikim yoshvim ve'itrotehem barashehem ve'nehenim miziva shechina. Ziva shechina is the tov. It's the harat panim that he's talking about. In the shamayim, there's no blockage. So, but what's the blockage? The avodah the person did or didn't do in olam hazeh. The more avodah a person does in olam hazeh, the more he can nehenem miziva shechina in olam haba. Daled. והנה לשיהיו במציאות העניינים השונים האלה של שלמות וחיסון שזכרנו. Now, being that the creation in general must contain these different elements, different ideas, different things, ותימצא בריאה שזכרנו בתכונה שהיא צריכה להיות, and the creature must have the potential to be able to achieve what is being set up here. Perush be'efsharut lishnei inyanim becholat alehem. The creature has to have the ability to choose the path. What's he talking about now? B'chira chofshit. Shetikneh shlemut ve'te'adem min ha'chesrono, which means he has to choose to achieve perfection and to remove the imperfection. V'shimatzu lahem tzayim ledavar hazeh, and there has to be ways for that to happen. Perush liknot zeh shlemut, to acquire the shlemut. And therefore there has to be a lot of details in the Bria. What's he saying now? Rabbi Hananya ben Akash Omer, Ratzah HaKadosh Baruch Hu lezakot et Yisrael, lefichach yibadahem Torah mitzvot, shene'emar Adonai chafetz l'ma'at tzedakah yachdi Torah v'yadir. Which means why there's so many mitzvot? There's so many mitzvot. Why? Because these are all opportunities to attach yourself to God. You want to eat bread? You have an opportunity to attach yourself to God. Make a beracha. You want to finish eating bread? You want to attach yourself to God? Say Birkat Hamazon. Make sure that bread you separated halal. Make sure that bread you separated terumah and ma'asrot. Make sure that you didn't bake the bread on Shabbat and go through the labors to make bread on Shabbat. Which means all of these things is in the world. And that's why the Orach Chaim asked in last week's parasha, why did Hashem make it so a person has to eat and drink? He said that's the source of all the sin. Yes? If a person has to have a parnasa and he's having a difficult time, he has a temptation to steal. Why? If it was that mankind did not have to eat and drink, I have to go to work. I can learn Torah all day long. Do Torah mitzvot ma'asim tovim. And then someone asked in the class, what about Bechira Chovshit? So the Bechira Chovshit is, do I do this mitzvah, do this mitzvah? Do I study Mishnah, do I study Talmud? Do I study Talmud, do I study Zohar? Do I study Zohar, do I study Chumash? Which means you still have choice of what to do, but there's no. So the Orach Chaim says, why? So he asks, why is it that God created man with the need to eat? And he gives the answer. Because it's the need to eat and drink. If you take away eating and drinking, please tell me which mitzvot are left. Pe'ah, leket, shicha, hala, birkat hamazon. What's left? When you making better, what's left? So through the mitzvot, yes. Through the world, eating and drinking, that is a way a person can go to the bad place. But also through eating and drinking is the way the person connects to Hashem. This is the emtsaim ladavar hazeh. Perush liknot ze hashlemut, to acquire this perfection. Hinevadai shepratim rabim v'shonim tzarich yimatzu b'briyah. There have to be a lot of details. It can't be very simple. It has to be complex. V'yichusim rabim ben hapratim ha'ele, and there have to be relationships between all these details. Ad sheyatzliach hatachlit hamekuvan la, so that the person can be successful in his quest. We'll finish this up. Ve'ulam habriya asher hit'adta li'inyan hagadol hazeh, the creature that was destined to be the purpose of this great creation called the world. Hainu ladvekut bo yitbarach shemo k'shmor zacharnu, the creature that was destined to attach itself to God. Hitikare ha'ikarit shebechol habriya. This is called the essential element of the entire creation, because everything else in the creation was created for that being. That's the tachlit. So all these details, we have a huge world, we have all kinds, we have hundreds of different species of fish and hundreds of thousands of species of this and that, and all these details, right? But why do you have so many species of fish? So you can identify which ones are kosher, which ones are taref.
This good, this not.
This good, this not. This creature is the essence of the entire creation. And everything else is there for what purpose? To help that person, to help that individual get to the shlemut. Which means everything is created for man. He didn't say man yet, but for that creature. Ela tachlit, to achieve the goal. That he should be successful and that he should be able to find what he's looking for. Everything else is called tafel. That's the concept of ikar and tafel. There's the ikar and there's the tafel. The ikar is this creature. The tafel is everything else. Which means the sun is tafel to the ikar. The ikar is man. The sun is tafel. Why is the sun tafel? The sun is there so we can say Birkat HaHama. The sun is there so we know when it's Shabbat. Now, for the first time, he's going to identify who this creature is. This is man. The Chol Shar HaNivraim, and all the other creatures of the world. And he's not defining here Jew versus Gentile yet. That's later. Man. V'chol shar hanivraim, and all the other creatures, ben hashfalim, ben hagvohim imenu, whether they are the low creatures or whether they're high creatures, enam ela ba'avuro, they are for his, they are for him, they are for man. Lahashlamat inyano, to complete what he is looking to do, which means everything that is created in the world has a purpose. We know man's purpose. Man's purpose is to attach themselves to God. What is the purpose for everything else in the creation? To help man achieve his purpose, which means there is nothing that is created in the world that has no purpose. We may not understand how that thing helps man to get close to God, but that doesn't change the fact that that's what it's there for. That's its purpose. And because there's all the different variable ways where man can attach themselves to God, and he's going to explain this in more detail later on. That's why, if I'm not mistaken, in the Zohar, the mitzvot are called hooks. V'ineh hahaskala v'chol hamidot tovot hem inyanei shlemu shenimtzu b'shalash behem adam. Now, so he talked about all the different things that were created. This element of perfection, that man must strive to perfect himself, are his intellect and his positive character traits. This is what man has to. So what is this avodah that man has to do? He has to work on his intellect, and he has to work on his character.
What does it mean, intellect? What does it mean by
Sechel.
learn Torah?
Right. Again, or not just learn Torah. See, also study the world. Science. When a person's studying science, so he can get to understand how all those things fulfill his purpose, that's studying Torah as well. When you're studying science for the purposes of denying God, that's not studying. You have to learn, first you have to learn what to do. The Torah teaches us what to do, with how does a person achieve that perfection. But it's not just learning Torah. What he just said, it's also working on the midot. Just because a person studies Torah does not mean his midot change. If the Torah remains in the brain, the midot don't change. The only way the midot changes, the Torah has to come to the lev. And when the Torah is in the lev, that's the midot change. And that's why it says, if you see someone who knows Torah, but his midot are not good, he doesn't know Torah. It's in his head, it's not in his heart. And Torah is lev. And that's why, how does the Torah start? Bet. How does it end? Lamed. Lev. That is the essential part of the Torah. It's the lev. So, and all these things, the elements that are there, and all the bad traits, this is the chisaron, which means lack of appropriate knowledge and not working on character traits. This is the chisaron. Shadam musam benehem, that the person is put there liknot lo hashlemu, to acquire the goodness. So therefore, how does a person become and fulfill his purpose? Through the study of the Torah and the study of science, so you can get to know the world, so you can get to know Hashem, and on top of that, also to work on the midot, and both of them are very hashuv. Okay, any questions?
One question.
Baruch Adonai Olam, amen ve'amen.